earlier, and I know how difficult it is, so I just want to give a thanks out to Michael before we start. Okay, anyway, so today I'd like to, before we start, I'd like to share a story with you.
開始之前咧，我有個故事同大家分享嘅。
A number of years ago, I had an uncle who moved from Ohio to New Jersey, so we don't see his uncle very often.
我有個叔叔，佢喺Ohio搬嚟New Jersey 嗰度，咁我哋咪成日見面嘅。
So, because since he just moved in, so he had a housewarming party, and we all went together to visit him.
咁佢啱啱搬嚟新澤西州嗰時咧，我哋去佢屋企度一齊聚下。
I still remember like the car we drove in actually, it's a caravan.
咁我哋當時屋企嗰架車就係呢架舊英仔。
Junk car, yes, junk car now. What I remember particularly about it is that like my parents, when we used to go on any road trip, they usually prepare like snacks, generally like fruit or something or corn.
咁我記得嗰陣時就係我哋細個嗰陣時，咁當我哋一家人出去開車周圍玩嗰時咧，爸爸媽媽就會預備嗰啲食物俾我哋嘅。
And I was in the passenger seat, my dad was sitting in the driver's seat obviously, and my mom offered me some watermelon.
咁我記得有一次咧係爸爸揸車，咁我坐前位嗰度，咁媽媽坐後邊，咁佢俾西瓜我食。
And as you know, I'm not a big fan of fruit.
你識得我咧，我就唔係幾中意食生果嘅。
So I said no thanks.
咁我同媽媽講下，我唔食啦，多謝啦。
But my mom pulled me aside and whispered to my ear.
咁媽媽就喺我耳邊同我講話。
And she said to me that at least try to eat a little bit.
佢話仔乖啦，你食少少啦。
Because your dad, when she preparing this, specifically left the best part for you.
因為你爸爸切嗰陣時咧，佢留咗最好嗰部分西瓜部分留俾你食。
And when I think of this story, and I think of like what it is that what caused my dad to do that for me.
咁我諗翻起我爸爸為咩嘢要將西瓜最好嗰部分留翻俾我食？
And I want you to think about that as we continue on this sermon.
咁我哋諗下，即係我哋講今日個擴張，你哋諗翻起呢個問題啦。
So the title of my sermon is called "Giving Your Best to God."
我哋今日個題目就係我哋將我最好嘅奉獻俾神。
And for the topic, the Bible verse is the story of Cain and Abel.
咁我哋嗰個故事咧就喺創世記第4章係失養同埋 Abel 嗰個故事。
And as you all know, Cain and Abel are the sons of Adam and Eve, the first people created by God.
咁我哋知道該失同埋亞伯係亞當同埋亞林嘅仔嚟嘅。
So as Cain read for us, Cain was a tiller of the ground, so he produced fruit from the ground.
咁喺第二節我哋睇到咧係嗰樣咧係種耕田嘅。
And Abel was the keeper of the sheep.
咁我哋知道亞伯咧係牧羊。
Now, at a time when each of them had presented sacrifice to God, obviously Cain brought what he produces, and Abel brought what he produces.
咁當你去奉獻嗰陣時咧，咁佢哋兩兄弟每人都係攞佢哋所做嘅或者所做嘅或者所播嘅去貢獻神。
Now, something very interesting happens here. It says that the Lord respected Abel as offering, but he did not respect Cain's offering.
咁我哋喺度睇到有人該失還拿地嚟出產為貢獻俾耶和華，亞伯又將佢羊群中頭生的和羊的脂油獻上。咁我睇到神就中意就睇中咗亞伯嘅貢獻，但係睇唔上眼該人嘅貢獻。
Now, because God did not like Cain's offering, Cain was very, very angry, and he was jealous of Abel's offering.
因為上帝係唔接受該人嘅貢獻嘅公物咧，咁佢哋就好嬲啦。
So he got so upset to the point of what? He got so upset he got to the point of killing his younger brother.
佢幾嬲咧？佢嬲到連 連連兄弟佢都殺嘅。
And so I remember when I learned about this story. I was about like 7, 8 years old in Bible class.
咁我記得我第一次聽故事嗰時咧，就係聖經班，我7歲8歲到。
So the question I always ask is like, wait, why did God accept Abel's offering but not Cain's?
咁我係嗰陣時有問題問啦，點解神接受咗亞伯個供物，但係唔接受嗰人個供物咧？
So what was special about it?
咁你睇下點解亞伯嗰個供物係點樣特別咧？
If you were to read Genesis chapter 4, it's pretty simple. It doesn't really go into a lot of details about the story.
如果你睇喺度創世記第4章，你就知道啦。
You know, being 7, 8 years old, I don't really pay attention in Bible class.
咁我7歲嗰陣時咧，就喺聖經班嗰時就冇咩點留心。
My mind used to run wild, and then I thought, maybe, do we need to provide food for God?
咁嗰時諗下，嗰時我哋係咪要提供食物俾上帝咧？
But then, and you know, we read Genesis chapter 1, it says that God created everything. So that doesn't really make much sense, does it?
但係見翻去創世嘅第1章嗰度話教放你話係神創造世物俾我哋，包括係食物嘅。咁上帝唔應該需要我哋提供食物俾佢咧？
And I was a little naughty, and I thought, you know, see, I like meat, so hey, maybe God likes meat too. That's why.
咁嗰陣時我古話啲，咁我諗如果上帝係咪中意食肉多啲咧？
And I thought, you know, that doesn't seem very likely, though. You know, that God, I don't think God would be like that, just to, you know, don't like Cain's offering because it was not meat.
但係我應該唔係咁樣，上帝應該唔係咁揀擇食咗。
So let's take a closer look at the story. Is there anything that stands out that maybe tell us why God liked Abel's offering better?
咁我再睇翻起嗰個經文，睇下佢面我睇唔睇到有啲細節話點解神中意亞伯嗰個貢獻多啲咧？
So if you look at closer word, look at the one key word. It says Abel brought the firstborn of his flock.
咁我睇翻起亞伯係將他羊群中的頭生，即係頭生係貢獻神嘅。
So is there something special about the firstborn?
咁你睇下嗰個頭生係咪有咩特別咧？
And just to go back real quick about the meat versus fruit offering, if you go through the Bible, you actually realize that God did say it's okay to give fruit.
咁你睇翻起聖經裏邊咧，如果有教方你話係聖經話係可以將即係耕田嗰啲嗰收成係奉獻俾神嘅。
And it says very clearly here, the Chinese actually doesn't say first, but if you see the land that God gives you, inherit, possess it, dwell in it, first of all the produce of the ground, you have to give to God.
咁喺申命記又將我教奉你咧，即係如果話係耕田嘅，總之係將我哋即係各樣初熟嘅土產嚟供神咧，神就會接受啦。
So it's pretty clear. God said, no, it's okay for you to give fruit.
咁即係好明顯，即係神有教放你嘅話，即係將嗰啲田產去供應神係神接受嘅。
So I begin to think, is there something significant about being the first?
咁諗下啦，咁第一即係排第一，即係話係頭生咧，係咪有咩特別咧？
As I was researching this, I came across a term called primogeniture. Primogeniture. Okay. Anyway, it's right here. If anyone interested in looking into it.
咁我查字典嗰陣時咧，咁我查到一個字眼就叫做長子繼承權。
So it seems that in general, around the world, there always seems to get special benefits for the firstborn.
咁啊睇下即係歷史裏邊喺世界裏邊咧，即係好似長子係特別有權柄嘅。
So I want you guys for a second to picture a world leader, a president, or maybe like a prince or something in the world.
咁啊想象下你想象下一個世界領袖，一係個皇帝啊，或者係總統。
In general, when you see a picture of that person, let's say Obama was standing with people like your Secret Service, for example, where does he generally stand?
咁你睇下，即係好似美國總統講奧巴馬總統，咁你見到佢多數係企中間嘅，即係其他嗰啲助手係企喺佢左右嘅。
Does he stand all the way in back or the front?
佢通常都係企喺前邊同埋唔單第一行，但係第一行係嘅中間。
First, would you agree?
咁咯，即係第一行啦。
So is there something special about that?
有咩特別咧？
Let's just look into another example. I know next week is the church holiday get together and celebration.
咁我哋下禮拜就我哋有嗰個聖誕節假期嗰個聚餐活動。
And I'm not sure if we necessarily do it anymore, but in the past, what we do is each table we would participate in games, and whichever table wins, they get to go first.
咁我哋以前咧就係每張台就要玩遊戲嘅，咁玩贏嘅遊戲嗰張台咧就食先嘅。
And going first obviously has advantages, right? We think of that way.
咁即係好似我哋做餐咁，第一首先起身去揾嘢食咧就係有好處嘅。
For example, obviously the food is warmer when you go up first, right?
我哋先出去揾嘢食咧，咁你起碼嗰啲食物都會暖啲。
Everything is available for you to choose from.
咁咧就冇邊嘢係食晒嘅，樣樣都可以揀。
I remember there was some time our table lost, so we the last to go up.
咁我記得有幾次啦，咁我哋嗰張台咧就輸咗遊戲，咁所以我哋去最尾先去攞嘢食。
And I remember like the fried noodles always gone by that time.
我記得我哋住咗最尾攞嘢食嗰陣時咧，咁炒麵已經食晒㗎啦。
So it makes you want to work harder next time we came around.
下一次就好啲啦。
And let's take another example. So the Bible talks about the firstborn. Now, okay, sorry. The firstborn. So most of here Chinese people are Asian Chinese people, right?
咁聖經上面成講係長子嘅，咁我哋喺呢個大多數嘅所有啲人都係中國人。
I'm not sure if you like to watch these old Chinese dramas about the ancient times.
咁電視嗰時有啲劇集係講中國皇帝嗰啲故事嘅。
Well, sometimes you see these like kings and succession and everything like that. When a king has a lot of sons, and this I'm just showing you an example of a king, which son typically gets to be the crown prince?
咁喺中國古代文化中間咧，咁有皇帝咁通常係邊個做皇太子嘅？
Wouldn't you agree the first one usually?
咁多數係佢個長子係做皇太子嘅。
Well, I mean that's Chinese culture. That's something that we are familiar with. But what about the Bible? What does the Bible say about Hebrew culture?
咁嗰個係我哋中國嘅文化，咁睇下我哋聖經裏邊點講啊。
And it says here, as you can read for yourself in Deuteronomy chapter 21, 16 to 17.
咁喺申命記21章16至17節嗰度有教訓我哋嘅。
This is talking about a person having two wives.
咁嗰度嗰個比喻就係一個人佢有兩個妻子。
But if you focus on the very end here, it says, even if one wife is loved and one unloved, the firstborn always get a double portion.
咁咧喺希伯來嘅文化裏邊咧，唔理嗰個仔係邊個妻子生嘅，咁嗰個長子一定有多一份多一份嘅。
So we see all around us in the world, there always seems to be some benefit about being the firstborn, being the first.
咁啊，即係唔理你咩文化，就喺世界邊度都好，咁長子係好似係有着數啲嘅。
So when I think about it, it's like, is it just culture, tradition, or there's something bigger than that?
咁我諗下啦，呢個淨係文化嘅問題啊，定係我有即係做長子或者第一嘅係有好處咧？
Well, so as you know, everything inside your action is controlled by your mind.
咁我知道我哋所行咧，都係我哋個思想控制嘅。
So let's take a look at the psychology of being first.
咁我哋睇下我哋即係如果做長子或者係做第一個有咩分別？
Let's take a story of the poor widow.
咁我睇翻起馬可福音嘅12章嗰個窮寡婦嗰個故事。
If you were to read the story, you remember that there were some rich people giving in a lot of money to the church.
如果你讀翻馬可福音12章，我哋睇到個故事就係當時有好多有錢人係將好多錢去貢獻俾神，貢獻俾神。
This poor widow came by and threw a couple cents into the offering.
就呢個窮寡婦咧，就將佢所有只有嗰2分小錢就貢獻俾神。
Now Jesus at the time he pointed to that and asked the disciples, so who did you think gave more?
咁當時耶穌見到就喺度指住嗰個寡婦同埋指住嗰啲有錢人，就問佢門徒話：呢個 即係呢啲人邊一個係被貢獻最多嘅？
And they all agreed that it was the poor widow who gave more.
咁大家都同意話係呢個窮寡婦。
Now, just to tie this back to the first story I told you about my dad giving the nice pieces of the watermelon to me.
咁啊，提翻起我哋初講故事，就係我老豆將最好嗰西瓜嗰部分留翻俾我食。
What was his intention? Why did he give the good part of all the
佢點解
watermelon?
要留翻最好部分俾佢食咧？
So he obviously did it out of love, right? There's nothing benefit he get from me.
即係佢最緊要就係佢愛我啦。
But how about this poor widow? What the benefit did she gain from this?
但係睇翻呢個窮寡婦，咁佢有咩好處咧？即係即係佢將所有嘅嘢貢獻俾神，有咩好處？
Remember, the Bible said that this poor widow gave all that she had to live on.
因為記得聖經教課你係將呢個窮寡婦將佢所有擁有嘅金錢就貢獻俾神。
That means she had no more money to buy food,
咁啊貢獻咗之後咧，咁佢冇錢去買嘢食到，
no more money to buy clothing,
冇錢去買衫着啊。
and probably no more to live like sheltered as well.
即係佢咩錢都冇好似。
So if we think of like, well, I feel like she needs to do by two things in order to have that kind of ability to give or whatever she has left.
即係你睇下佢需要兩樣嘢先可以咁做嘅。
And the two things are faith and putting God first.
第一就係要佢有信心，第二就係要將擺上帝擺喺第一位。
And as you read Matthew chapter 6, the whole verse about do not worry,
咁你睇下馬太福音第6章咧，咁啊就叫我哋唔好擔心。
it says that God told us to not have to worry about our life, what to eat or drink or what we wear.
咁啊上帝就教我哋就唔好擔心，我哋食乜嘢做乜嘢。
If we were to give every single cent to church, can you not worry about what you eat or drink?
咁你諗翻你自己，如果你將你所有金錢係奉獻俾教會，你使唔使可唔可以唔擔心你食你住咧？
I don't know about you, but I would freak out.
咁我諗我自己做唔到。
So obviously this poor widow had to have tremendous amount of faith in order to do something like that.
咁我哋想象下，咁呢個窮寡婦一定係有好重嘅信心，先對神嘅生活先可以咁做。
Then obviously what she did was she seek first his kingdom. She looked to do God's will first.
咁佢第一就係想做神嘅旨意，擺第一位。
And so, before you guys go home, switch career and start, having sheep so they give to God, let me tell you what this means to us.
咁即係你哋冇翻屋企去轉行先，咁我同大家分享下神，即係個俾神嘅意思係乜嘢？
So I want to make an argument today, hopefully make a good argument about why you guys, every one of us here, must give our best to God and how we would be able to do so.
我哋想大家分享點解我哋要將我哋最好嘅獻俾神。
So, let's skip the couple. Number one, because it is fair.
第一就係呢個係公平嘅。
I know that sometimes a lot of people here have siblings.
咁我知道大家都有兄弟姊妹。
I guess I give my wife as an example.
咁我好似話我太太係都有母。
When you're younger, I don't know if you remember, but if your little sister got something and you didn't, would you say it's unfair?
咁我知道，好似你細蚊仔嗰陣時，如果你妹妹有個新玩具，得個新玩具你冇嘅，你會唔覺得係公平啊？
You didn't see, but she said yes. and I see this all over the place. If you cannot give to one child without giving the other.
即係好似如果一個家長有兩細蚊仔咁，真係好難做嘅。你唔可以話買玩具俾一個就唔買俾第二個。
One thing I observe, I find it very funny, is that the person who got more never ever complains.
咁我就好驚險，即係如果兩個細蚊仔一個就多玩具，一個少啲玩具咧，收多玩具嗰個就唔會出聲嘅。
See, in Exodus here, it says, what is fair? If someone does something for you, you do the exact thing back. That's fairness, right?
咁出埃及記嗰度第21章嘅教法，我哋話即係要以手還手，以腳還腳，即係大家都要公平嘅。
See, if we are to be fair, let's first think, what did God do for us then?
咁但係如果我哋成日話講公平咧，咁我哋要想像下神為我哋做乜嘢咧
The most famous verse, it says, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
但係神先愛我哋，因為喺約翰福音3:16節，大家都識背啦。神愛世人，甚至將他的屬生賜給我們，叫一切信他的不至毀亡，反得永生。
That means he gave what he is most precious to him. He's the firstborn, his only son. He gave that because he loved us so much.
因為神愛我哋，佢將佢唯一嘅仔都賜給我哋。
If we were to be fair, shouldn't we do something similar?
如果我係想講公平嘅，如果神就將佢自己嘅仔都賜給俾我哋，咁我哋應唔應該係同樣咁做咧？
Number two point. We must give our best because it is required to receive additional blessings from God.
我哋要將我哋最好嘅係貢獻俾神，因為我哋要得到神祝福。
It says that good things work together for those who love God, who does His commandments and call His purpose.
咁樣呢個就係如果我哋係互相考慮咧，就叫神愛得人益處，就得按他旨意被召的人。
Point number 3, because God commanded us in the Bible to do so.
咁第三點就係神有命令我哋咁做嘅。
Jesus himself said, love Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind.
喺馬太福音22章嗰度咧，就耶穌咁教訓我哋話要盡心盡性盡意愛主你的神。
Number 4, we actually, each one of us have been chosen to do His work.
咁我第四點就係我哋已經俾神係選擇咗做佢咁做。
Let's go to the first one. It says, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But you're the chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light.
咁喺彼得前書第2章第9節嗰度教訓我哋話，主知道搭救敬虔的人脱離試探，把不義的人留在刑罰之下，等候審判的日子。
I'm not sure everyone remembers or not, but at the point we get baptized, we are each to serve as a priest.
咁我哋記得，當我哋受浸嗰陣時咧，我哋每一個都係做祭司嘅。
And priests only can be chosen by God Himself.
如果我做祭司咧，係神要選擇我哋先可以做祭司。
If you look at Matthew, it says in the very end, it says, the narrow gate, the difficult one that leads to life, very few people find it.
咁喺馬太福音第17章第14節最收尾嗰度咧就話，為人到永生那門是窄的，路是小的，找著的人也少。
So the fact that you are all here, there are a ton of people who walk by a church every single day. The fact that you are all here, what's the chance of that really happening?
咁我哋想象下啦，咁我哋即係每個星期日大家都喺度，但係好多人喺出邊行嚟行去都冇入嚟。咁你坐喺度係因為神係選擇咗你哋。
But God has blessed you and have mercy on you, so you may find the true church.
咁神多謝神一點係上帝係選擇咗你，咁你揾到佢嘅教會。
Don't you think it's your responsibility to give to God?
咁既然神又係選擇咗我哋啦，咁佢又祝福俾我哋，咁我哋要想象係我哋有責任係將我哋所最好嘅貢獻俾神。
Your very best.
咁要將我哋最好嘅貢獻俾神。
So next, I want to make an argument and maybe show you guys what does the Bible say about how you can do that.
咁我哋睇到我哋點解要將我哋最好貢獻俾神？咁我睇下而家我哋點樣將我哋最好嘅貢獻俾神。
So number 1 is about doing the Lord's work.
咁第一就好簡單啦，我哋就要做神嘅工作。
And I'm going to tie this in with actually another one. This by meeting together.
咁咧，我哋做神工作同就係一齊聚會咧，係有聯繫嘅。
So by coming together, meeting together, and doing Lord's work, that's one way we can give our best to God.
咁我哋一齊放棄聚會，一齊做神工作咧，咁我就會將係我哋 將我最好嘅貢獻俾神。
I know sometimes when younger, myself when younger, I did one of it. I came to church practically every Sunday, but I didn't necessarily do a lot of the Lord's work.
咁我記得我細蚊仔嗰時咧，咁我每個禮拜日都嚟教會，但係我好記得有印象就係我細嗰時就未必話一齊做神工作，即係喺教會度幫手。
I remember growing up, I had a few wonderful examples, older brother and sister in the church.
咁我記得我長大嗰時喺教會長大嗰時有幾個好榜樣。
I don't know if you remember this, Eric. I'm gonna mention you in my sermon. When I was a teenager.
咁可能我哋記得10零歲嗰時咧，有個好深嘅印象。
Now at that time, Eric was probably the only person in church who did every single thing in the worship service.
咁當時咧，咁阿連大兄即係 Eric 咧，咁喺當時就係佢唯一一個弟兄，就喺我哋敬拜神嗰陣時嘅工作每個項佢有份做嘅。
I remember he did Lord's Supper.
我記得佢有幫手我哋做神晚餐。
He preached.
佢又講到啦。
Prayer and and also he also song lead.
佢又領詩，佢為我哋祈禱。
Do you remember what you said to me about song leading?
唔知連聽記唔記得佢同我點鼓勵我
I guess it hasn't been a while. But he must mention to me when he got baptized, he never ever thought he was song lead.
咁佢話，即係佢同我講話，佢當佢受浸嗰陣時咧，佢冇想象話佢會有機會係領詩嘅。
So the fact that he did all that, even though he probably at that time wasn't very good at song leading or singing, he had to go through a lot of trouble in order to do that.
咁你想象下，如果佢即係受浸嗰個時刻，佢冇想象話佢會領詩，因為可能佢冇領詩嘅經驗，但係佢克服到呢個困難。
I also remember Peter.
咁我記得Peter 陳李。
As far as I understood, besides Mr. Chan's children who are naturally very ahead in the Christian life, Peter was the only person in high school teaching Bible class.
咁我記得當時Peter 就係唯一一個佢仲喺讀緊高中嘅時，佢係教聖經班嘅。
Am I not mistaken, Peter? You don't remember either? But I remember this was a Chinese Bible class. After Chinese school, he taught Bible class.
咁嗰時我哋教會仲有中文學校，我哋上中文課嗰時，佢哋就有份教聖經班。
But see, when I see these examples of older brothers and sisters, out of inconvenience and everything, and doing the Lord's work, it really inspired me. And as you can see, I still remember these things.
咁咧即係呢啲係好榜樣咁揭發到我而家仲記得。
See, and I don't see any reason why some wonderful up-and-coming brothers like David, for example, Timothy, why can't you look at some of the older brothers and yourselves and start doing more of the Lord's work as well?
即係我哋大家都可以做彼此鼓勵。咁我如果見到有好榜樣嘅，咁我就可以揭發到自己做多啲神嘅工作。
And I hope you guys never forget the example upon what Paul said to Timothy.
咁我但係最好嗰個榜樣就係使徒保羅同提摩太點講？
And never use age as an excuse.
就唔好將我哋年輕係做就係年紀做一個藉口。
So just go over one more. We also serve God and giving His best by doing what He asks us to do.
咁我哋另外一個方法就將我哋最好嘅奉獻俾神，就係聽從佢命令。
And another one is that to put everything together, it's not just what you do in church, but everything you do.
咁你最後咧就係將我哋所行所為咧，就要一齊榮耀神。
See, when you guys go out and you meet people,
咁我哋出街度就周不時都撞到人。
don't you people tell you to ask you, what is it you do?
咁好多時啲人都問你，哇！你做邊行㗎？
See, people, when you reply, you're like, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, or whatever it is that you do as your job.
即係好多時我都會答話我做老師啊，係做銀行啊點，即係我哋嘅職業。
Why not make it seem that you're a Christian? How about that be your main job?
有冇想像下？如果當然你問你做邊行嘅，或者你做乜嘢嘅，可以答我係一個基督徒。
If you did that, would you not glorify God?
咁你嗰陣時，如果你同講係你基督徒，你會唔會榮耀神咧？
And then finally, one thing that probably we talk less about, and I find it very important,
咁啊最後就係我哋好少講嘅，
And it's about the way you dress.
就係衣服。
And we don't think that too much about it nowadays.
就好多時我哋都冇咩點想像。
Just to give you a short story,
就係一個好簡單嘅故事。
one time Christina and I, when we were on vacation, on Sunday we went to church to worship God, obviously.
咁早排我太太同我太太去度假，咁星期日咁我就去到嗰個地方嘅教會。
I remember that across the street there's another church actually.
咁我記得即係當時地方對面就有另外一間教會。
And I see across the street that they were these very young children, no older than 7, 8 years old.
咁我見到對面嗰啲嗰個教會嗰啲有細蚊仔，當時七八歲到嘅。
And they were all dressed in suits.
咁嗰時我嘅好深嘅印象就係嗰7、8歲細蚊仔個個都着西裝着裙嘅。
See, obviously they take it seriously.
咁即係好明顯佢哋就將即係去教會係好重要嘅。
And if you ever take light of the way you dress to show yourself to God, just take a look at Exodus chapter 28.
咁我哋即係要好注意我哋去奉獻神嗰陣時嘅衣着。咁我睇下出埃及記28章。
It's pretty clear that in those times, as a priest, he had to wear certain things according to God, the way God commanded us to do so.
咁嗰時做祭司嗰時咧，佢衣着咧就好重要嘅。
And if they don't, look at here, they would not incur iniquity and die.
如果你係佢着衣服係唔啱嘅咧，咁佢就佢罪就會甚至死嘅。
I don't know about you, but that seems to me God takes it pretty seriously.
咁咧就都神係好重要我哋衣着嘅。
I hope I made a good argument about how and why you should give your very best to God.
即係我希望就同大家分享咗我哋要點解同埋點樣係將佢最好嘅奉獻俾神。
And I'd like to conclude with a short story.
咁我想再講一個故事同大家分享。
So there was once a little boy.
咁當有個細蚊仔，
And he sold newspapers for a living.
咁佢係賣報紙做為生嘅。
And it was a very, very cold winter day.
咁有一日係出邊冬天好凍。
He wasn't able to sell one newspaper at all.
咁佢出唔到街去賣報紙。
So he saw this church there. It was very cold, so he went to the back hoping just to warm up a little bit, and he sat in the back seat hoping not to disturb anybody.
咁有一日咁佢見到對面街對面有間教會，咁佢覺得太凍啦，咁我希望入到教會裏邊避下凍，咁坐後邊希望唔會騷擾人。
Now at that time, the preacher gave a very, very inspiring sermon.
咁當時佢就嗰個傳道人就有一個非常好嘅講道。
And at the end, as passing by the contributions,
咁我哋做完嗰時候咧，咁佢哋將貢獻嗰個袋嚟收到。
they went one by one until they got to the very last row where he was sitting.
咁去到最後嗰行，咁呢啲細蚊仔坐喺度聽咗呢個擴張之後咧，
And he didn't know what to do.
咁佢唔知點做啦。
And so after a while, he thought about it. He asked that the usher put the plate on the floor.
咁佢嗌嗰個人將個碟放喺地下度。
So he took his foot and he put one foot inside the plate.
咁第一佢係將佢一隻腳放喺嗰個奉獻碟上面。
And with tears just rolling down his face, he looked up and said,
咁咧佢開始喺度喊啦，咁佢喺企喺頭望住喺度講。
he's like, "Sir, I didn't sell any newspapers, so I don't have any money."
佢話：先生，我今日冇買到報紙，所以今日冇錢啦。
But if Jesus truly did all that he did, as the preacher said, I'm willing to give my life for him.
佢話：如果耶穌真係有咁做，即係傳道人所講嘅耶穌有做到呢個傳道人所講嘅，我就寧願將貢獻自己。
Thank you very much.
多謝。
At this moment, if anyone would like to give out their very best to God and make a commitment to become a Christian, please join us as we sing a song to encourage you.
我哋唱首歌做勉勵。